Welcome, my name is House of Wolves, and this is my ultimate Tarkov controller setup. I've been playing Tarkov for several years now, and I've always wondered what a controller in Tarkov would feel like. Now, I am mainly a mouse and keyboard guy, but from time to time I like to relax, recline, and just not be on top of my keyboard. Now, saying that, I have tried several options out there, and none came close to functioning how I would like, so I set out to make my own. After many frustrating hours, I won't say this setup will do everything you wish, but I believe it will come close. This is the only setup I've seen that puts just about every keyboard input on the controller so you never had to touch the keyboard. Now, I will be doing this video in segments. First, how to add the controller to Tarkov using Steam. Second, the controller configuration itself, where we will jump in and go in depth with how everything is set up and how it works. Third, a gameplay test with a controller overlay. So without wasting any more of your time, let's get started. Alright, so let's go ahead and add Tarkov to Steam. It's a pretty simple process, won't take a few minutes, if that. So let's go ahead and open Steam. As you see, Steam comes up, and we will go to Games up here in the top left corner. Click that, a drop down will come, and you will go to Add a non-Steam game to my library. Click that, and you'll see another drop down. Now go through here, and you will see Escape from Tarkov Launcher. You don't see it on my end because it's already been added. But anyway, check the box, add selective programs, and you will be able to access Tarkov from Steam. Now, the next thing we're going to do is go up here to the top right corner, and you'll see the two arrows in the box here. And this is Big Picture mode. Big Picture mode allows you to use a controller in just about every PC game. So we'll go ahead and open this up here. Yeah, sorry about the no audio warning there. So what we'll do first is go ahead and click your settings, the gear here. Go to controller settings. Ensure that you have controller support enabled. Once you do, we will go back here one more time, click library, and you'll see Escape from Tarkov right here. We'll go ahead and click that. Go over here to manage shortcut and controller configuration. So once we get to this part here, you'll see your controller in the center, but you won't see all this. This will actually be all blank. There is two ways to get to my configuration. The hardest of the two, or most time consuming, is go down to Browse Configs, Community, and scroll through and look for it. Or the simplest way is look into the description of the video and I will have a link here. Once you click that link, here we'll kind of emulate it here. Once you click the link, it will actually bring this up here. It'll say preview, and all you got to do is simply hit apply configuration, and boom, you got everything. Now moving on, the next thing is action sets. So I had to add 3 action sets, which is basically changing the configuration with a press of a button in order to get everything needed onto the controller. It sounds complicated, but really it's not. So let's go ahead and get into our default one here, which is gameplay combat. This will be your default controls. 90% of the time you'll be working with this. You can see all the controls, everything there. The next one will be ADS, your aim down sight. So when you hit your right mouse or right trigger, it'll change to this configuration here. And finally, looting. Looting works by any time a mouse cursor is on screen, it kicks into looting. It's automatic. You never have to do anything with it. It's always there. So when you start the game up in the menu, you'll be in looting. When you open up your backpack, you're in looting. Hideout, looting. No action needed from you. It does it automatically. Now, when the mouse cursor goes away, it switches back to gameplay combat automatically. Alright, so let's dig a little deeper here. We'll start with gameplay/combat. Starting here at the left side. This is our left trigger. You can see I got it set to a soft pull action, which means you don't have to fully depress the trigger to get this to happen. So basically, you hit your left trigger, right mouse. So you aim down sights. As you see here, though, this other little thing here, it's linked with that, is the change to ADS. And that basically links back to the action sets. So anytime you aim down sights, it changes to the ADS configuration. And we'll go through that in a little bit. Next, on the opposite side, of course, left mouse button. Nothing special there. Fire. And let's go to our bumpers here. As you can see, the first bumper here, the left bumper, the binding is Q, which defaults to lean left. I also have something here called a long press, which is basically if I held this button, instead of being a lean command, it turns into the left control command. And I also have one more. You don't necessarily need this one. I think it's pretty helpful. But if you double press left bumper, you're now in head look mode. So you can look around. I also have that set up on another button, but we'll get to that. And all this will come together once we get into the gameplay segment. So let's go back here. On the opposite side, the right bumper, emulating the other side, we have E, which is lean to the right. Long press, left alt. Alright, pretty simple. Let's go with our select button here. Now you can see the long press is tab. So that's basically opening up your backpack, inventory, whatever. I set this one to a long press to avoid accidentally slipping my finger off and hitting it and being in the middle of a firefight and all of a sudden I'm trying to check my inventory. So a long press with this. And it's really not that long of a press. And if you think it's too short or it's not long enough, you have the option here to actually change how long the button is held before the action takes place. Of course, I got mine set here. You can always go in and change it however you like. Now, regular press is the middle mouse button again. This is head look. So I actually prefer this one over the bumper one I got set up, but it's all about preference. So I just basically hit this. I'm in head look mode. I hit it again, and my head snaps forward. Pretty simple. Now let's go over here to the start button. As you can see, there's 3 controls on this one. Your regular press, T, which is your tactical devices, laser lights, flashlights, whatever. Turn them off and on quickly by pressing start. Then we have the long press, which is K, which defaults into your VoIP command. So, you want to talk? Just hold the start button. You'll be talking. And then the double press. So, if I quickly tap this twice, I turn on my night vision. Pretty simple. Alright, so let's go over here to the left stick, your movement here. Now, the style of input I have here is directional pad with a 8-way overlap. Now, the reason why I went with the directional pad here with the 8-way overlap is if you go with a 4-way, it only really goes left, right, up, or down. With 8-way, I can emulate diagonals because it's reading as 2 buttons are being pressed. So A and W would make me go to the left forward. Pretty easy. And that's how I have that set up. Now, if you look over here, it'll say click action. Click action is basically what happens when I press down the stick. I press down the stick, it's left shift, and I'm sprinting. Alright, let's back out here, and next up, we have our D-pad here. So, when you click this, it'll have style of input, directional pad, and cross gate. So basically, this is just buttons to this. This is not a directional pad. We'll click the top one here. So up, I have here, when you press up, it's caps lock, which is walk, run. If you double press, it'll be Y, so mumbling. And a long press, F1, to, cuss the guy that's shooting at you. Now, these two are not required. I mean, it's basically up to you what you want to do with those, but I always thought it was fun to cuss somebody when they're shooting at me and I'm shooting back. So, let's move to the right here. Right D-pad. A regular press is F, which is basically your action button. Open doors, select stuff. A long press is U, which is your compass. And you can put it away by simply long pressing again. And a double press is B, which changes your fire rate from single to burst to auto. And you can actually combine this with your right bumper and double press this to check your fire rate without having to actually change it every time and making all that noise. Next up is down. Now this is pretty simple. You press down, you scroll down. Now, I know people are wondering, why do I have a scroll down when I have a caps lock already? Well, simply, it's you'll have context menus come up. Say when you go to a door, for example, it'll say open door or breach or whatnot. Without having to touch your mouse or anything like that, you can simply press down on your D-pad. It'll scroll down to your option. You hit right on the D-pad for F to accept it. And there you go. That is the main reason I got scroll down there. Now, also another benefit of this is you can slow down your walking rate. But here's the caveat. So, if you hit caps lock after you've slowed down, say halfway to half walking speed, you hit caps lock, it'll slow you all the way down to 0. You hit caps lock again, and it takes you back to halfway instead of all the way up. The quickest way I found to fix this was just clicking the left stick and move maybe an inch. And then that will put your speed all the way to top. Alright, moving on to left D-pad here. So I have left D-pad as L, which is inspect your weapon. Basically, look at it, see how pretty it is. But where this comes in helpful is when you have a weapon jam. That is the only reason why L's even made it on here. So, I have a weapon jam, I quickly press left on the D-pad, I'm looking at it, I find out what it is, and then I hold left. And then you do left shift T, which clears the malfunction or checks the chamber. Now, there is an option here. I will go ahead and let you all know, so if you want to use it, you can. It's called cycle binding. Now, I have this turned off because I like to use each control individually. So basically, if I turn cycle binding on, when I press left on the D-pad or a long press, it'll actually do this one first, then do that one. It's quick to clear a malfunction, but if you're just walking around along and you want to check your chamber and you got cycle binding on, that won't happen. Alright, so let's go into the right stick. Now the right stick here, I have it set as joystick mouse. Is basically saying, hey, this is just emulating the mouse movement. The click action here, I have two, a regular and a long. The regular is C, which is crouch, and the long is X. Now to get back up, simply just click in your stick and he will change stances. That's pretty simple. Now, you can see here this is kind of hollow. This is actually a dead zone. And the controller I have is not the greatest. It's been wore down quite a bit. So I had to set this dead zone quite a bit here. And we'll go into that in a second. But another thing I want to show you is mouse sensitivity. So basically, if you have super fast DPI on your mouse, you're used to everything flying around, set this up. Set this up higher. If not, set it down lower. Alright, we'll go over here to additional settings. And this is kind of important here. It's your response curve. So, a lot of people find that when switching from mouse to keyboard, that you'll either overshoot what you're aiming at or undershoot it. this actually helps you out. Linear means if I press the stick a quarter of the way one direction, it's going to move linear to however it's set up to the sensitivity. Then we got aggressive, relaxed, and wide. Personally, I like wide. So what it is from the center position, I barely move it. It slowly moves until I get further out to the edge, and then you can see at the far right of that graph there how fast it's moving over. It's all personal preference, but play around with it and you'll figure out what you want. Alright, let's go back here. And now the buttons. So, of course, I got it set up as a button pad. Each button has multiple functions, and we'll start with Y. Y is our weapon switching button. A regular press will set up to binding 2 and 3, which is basically your weapon on sling and weapon on back. A double press is the number 1, which is your pistol slot. And a long press is V, which is your knife. Pretty simple. Alright, let's move to B. B I have set up as G. G is your grenade button. Now that you can't just hotkey and throw them, you have to pull them out. I found that B was pretty quick. I actually use more grenades when I'm using a controller than I do when I'm using a mouse and keyboard. A long press is Z, which is the throw your backpack. Alright, let's move on to A. A is a simple one. It's only got one thing on there. The space bar, which is jump. And finally, X. Pressing X will reload the weapon. Double pressing X will open up your extract in time. And that is all for ADS. Sorry about that, I actually meant to say gameplay combat. But speaking of ADS, let's go ahead and check out that action set. So, as you can tell, it's basically the same thing. The only real differences here is with your D-pad and your buttons. So, I won't go through every one of these again because we already did and don't want to bore you to death. The only difference here with this one is when you hit your left trigger again and you're no longer aiming down sights, your control scheme switches back to gameplay combat. And that is pretty much it on that. Now, we'll go ahead and start with our D-pad here. As you can see, up on the D-pad is page up. Now, this is used for when you're aiming down sights or you got a scope and you want to change the elevation. You want to shoot out to 100 meters or 150 meters, and that's basically sighting that up. And we'll skip around and actually go down on the D-pad, which is the exact opposite. If you want to bring it down from 100 meters to 50, there you go. Left on the D-pad is your mumble button. You long press this, and it's like your situational mumble. Like, if you get shot and he yells, "I'm hit," you can basically do that. Right on the D-pad. So you see here, if you just do a regular press, it changes in the gameplay combat control scheme. The reason why I did this is it doesn't happen very often, but it's say you're aiming down your sights really quick. And all of a sudden, you're stuck in ADS. You can't get back to your gameplay combat. Well, this fixes that. You basically hit right on the D-pad, you're back to default control settings, which is your gameplay combat. I also have a long press here, and that is your fire rate. Alright, let's go back and let's do our buttons here. So Y here is basically like it was on the other side, except I added a new thing to it. So a regular press while aiming down the sights will change your weapon. But be aware, when you change your weapon, you're no longer aiming down sights anymore. So I had to add this command here to change the gameplay combat, so when you change your weapons, you're back to regular control scheme and you can directly aim down sights. And if that wasn't in there, you would change your weapon, you would hit left trigger, and the action set would not activate. Of course, double press will be your pistol, long press, your knife. Alright, B here. Alright, so this here actually switches your sight type. So let's say you have a scope with a red dot on it. When you're aiming down sights, simply just tap the B button and you're aiming down your dot sight. Pretty quick. A long press is Z, so you can drop your backpack. Now A here, once you're aiming down sights and you press the A button, it'll change the magnification level, such as the Voodoo. It goes from 1 to 6 times magnification. While aiming down sight, just simply press A and you're in 6 times magnification. Press it again to go back to 1. And also while you aim down sights, if you hold the A button, you'll do a reload. Alright, let's go over to the X button. X button is T on this, so you can be aiming down sights, hit your X button to turn your device on or off. And if you double tap it, it'll actually change your tactical device's mode. So say you got a flashlight laser combo. You want to change it to flashlight instead of laser. Just double press your X button. Alright, and that is all for ADS. That was pretty quick. As you can see, it's not a huge difference with the gameplay combat, but I have it set to where you can change things that would take multiple button presses with just one button press. Alright, so let's go ahead and move to our final action set here, which is looting. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, looting controls happen automatically. Whenever there is a mouse on the screen, you're in the looting control. So no input from you whatsoever to get to this control scheme. It's all automatic, which I think is awesome. So, as you can see, it's pretty bare bones, but it gets the job done. Everything you need's on here. And I even have a blank spot here. If there's something that you wish to be on there, you got it right there in 2 parts with the D-pad. So, the left trigger is your right mouse. The right trigger is your left mouse. I have the left bumper set up as left shift. Your select button is tab, in and out of your inventory. The start button is actually the middle mouse button, which, while in your inventory, is inspect or check a magazine. The left stick here is actually how you move your mouse cursor. And here we go with the scroll up and scroll down on your D-pad. But if you look here on the right stick, the scroll up and scroll down is actually programmed to that as well. Let's say you're in your stash and you want to get up and down quickly. So instead of reaching over and grabbing your mouse and scrolling down, just press up and down on your right stick. You can also see that I had the button press on the right stick as middle mouse as a quick way to also check items or check magazines, inspect things. So let's go over to our buttons here. They're all single command, so no need to go deep into them. But as you can see, Y is delete, so that would quickly get things out of your inventory or out of your bag. Left Alt and on the X button, and left control on the A button. So basically these I use in conjunction with the triggers to put an item in my bag or actually equip an item. It makes it super quick. Let's say I want to put something in the bag. I click, or I hold X and click the right trigger. Boom, in the bag. B is a quick way to exit out without having to hit tab. I like that, especially with multiple menus. Let's say you're in flea market and all that. You just hit B, you're out of it. Alright, so the moment you all been waiting for, I'm going to fire up Tarkov, and I'll have an overlay at the bottom so you can see the controls that I am pressing during the gameplay, and you can see it all in action. Alright guys, I got Tarkov fired up here, with the controller. As you can see, the mouse cursor moving around. It might look a little slow to you guys. Like I said, it's all about sensitivity. You can set it as fast or slow as you want. Alright, so disclaimer here. If you do not launch Tarkov from Steam Big Picture mode, your controller configurations will not work. That being said, as you can see, I'm in the settings. I want to show you some optional rebinds that I believe are great. You don't have to do them. You can play the game. But I think you all would really like these. So the first one I use actually quite a bit. It is check your ammo in your magazine. So basically, whenever you're in gameplay and you don't know how many rounds are in the mag, hold your right bumper, simply press the A button. And he'll check it, reinsert the mag, and go on. These next two, I rarely, if ever, use. But it's the same concept. Hold the right bumper. This one would be the B button, and this one would be the Y button. Scroll down here. Now, these four, I think, are amazing. If you're going to play with a controller, these need to be bound, in my opinion. Like I said, you don't have to do it, but I think it's great. Now, this is your bar at the top of the screen. You know, the one that's numbered 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. So, quick item use. So, I got 4 of them set up here, and they're super easy to use. Whenever you're in game, you'll basically just hold your left bumper. This one will be Y for 4, and it'll go all the way around. I would press B, but it would bring me out. But that's how you use those. That being said, let's go ahead and move into the inventory part here. You remember me talking about how looting works automatically, because you can tell there's a mouse cursor here. Alright guys, I've loaded into an offline rating customs with no bots, so I don't get destroyed while showing these controls. So what we'll do here is I'll start from the top of the controller and work my way down, ending with the triggers. I know it sounds crazy, but that way I can show you everything that gameplay combat action set does before switching into a new one. Alright, so we'll just start with the left bumper here. Left bumper make you lean to the left. Holding it will be left control. As you can see, I'll change my tactical device settings. Pressing the right bumper will make you lean right. Holding it will actually be left alt. Left stick makes you move, of course, basic for any FPS. Clicking it in will make you sprint. Right stick is your look around there. Clicking it will make you crouch. Holding it will make you go prone. Clicking it again will get you back up. The Y button is to switch weapons. If you tap it, you go from the weapon on your back to the weapon on your sling, and vice versa. Double tapping it will bring out your pistol. Holding it will bring out your knife. Pressing B will bring out your grenade. You can press B again to get a different type of grenade. Or if you're done with grenades, simply press Y to switch to your regular weapon. Holding B will toss your backpack. If I got one on, did I bring one? I did not bring a backpack, but holding B will make you toss it. So we'll move on to select here. Tapping select will make you do a head look. Hitting it again will snap you back to neutral. Holding select there will bring you into your inventory. Press it again to go back. The start button turns your tactical device on and off. If you hold the start button, it'll be your VoIP, but since VoIP is disabled in offline mode, I won't be able to show you that. But I do have night vision on, and if you double tap the start button, it'll actually activate your night vision. As you can see, we just got blinded there. A button is to jump. X is to reload. I didn't bring no mags for this weapon. X to reload. There we go. Up on the D-pad is caps lock. As you can see, my character movement is going from fast to slow. And if you...
What the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah, well, if you hold it, you'll mumble F, or I'm sorry, right on the D-pad is F, which is your use button. You see me go over here and open the door, close it back. If you double tap right on the D-pad, it'll change your fire rate. And if you hold it, you'll bring out your compass. Simply hold it again to put it away. Pressing down on the D-pad will scroll, as you can see here on the door, and it will also bring your movement speed down. Left on the D-pad is L to inspect your weapon, useful for malfunctions. Holding it will check the chamber or clear said malfunction. Okay, and aiming down the sight here with the left trigger, you can tell at the bottom of the screen that it says ADS. That means you've entered a new action set. So it's basically the same as the gameplay action set, except for a few key differences, namely the buttons. So while aiming down the sights, I can press the aim button to change, or I'm sorry, the A button to change magnifications, as you can see. And I can press the B button to change my sight type, such as a red dot or iron sights. In this case, iron sights. Simply press B to go back. Pressing up or down on the D-pad will change the elevation settings of the sight. Pressing X will activate your tactical device. The bumpers will make you lean, just like the gameplay action set. And Y will change your weapon. You notice when I change the weapon, it goes back to gameplay. And that is because when you change weapons, you're no longer aiming down sights. See how it goes to ADS? Back to gameplay. So you're back to your original controls. Also, aiming down sights.
Bastard.
You press left on your D-pad to mumble.
Just stay focused, guys.
Double tap it to be more aggressive. And change your fire rate with the right D-pad. Okay guys, you remember the rebinds I told you about? We'll go ahead and go through them just to show you the function of them and if you think they might be right for you or not. So what we'll do here, let me go ahead and put a mag back in this. The first three rebinds I was showing you, if we hold our right bumper here and press Y, we'll actually drop a magazine. Holding the right bumper and pressing B will clear the chamber. Put a mag back in here real quick. Holding the right bumper and pressing A will check the magazine. Now the other rebinds that I feel are very important is the quick inventory there at the top of your screen. You notice I got 3 different types of grenades and a med pack up there just to show you. You can access these by holding your left bumper. Y is 4, B is 5, A is 6, and X is 7. Let's see if I can damage myself here a little bit. Okay, so I'm damaged a little bit. I'm worried. Basically, I hold my left bumper, hit the X button, and now I'm healing up. So those were the optional rebinds I think you all would quite enjoy there. And the last thing we got here is the looting part, which we briefly covered. Let me see if I can find a box before this raid's over. This computer might work. So press right on the D-pad to search. And that figures. And that figures. Okay. Third time's a charm, maybe? Okay, as you see, I'm going to press hold A, press the right trigger. It's automatically there. Of course, you can always do the whole drag thing if you want to drag it or whatnot. And if you wanted to go back, hold A, press the right trigger again. If you want to drop something, simply press the Y button. If you want to exit, press B, and you're good to go. Alright guys, that concludes the tutorial on the configuration. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm sure I've missed something along the way, especially with the gameplay. If I have, and you've got any questions, feel free to comment, message me. If you find something wrong with the control scheme, definitely let me know, and I will look into it. But that's all I got. I will see you all in Tarkov.